So, goals are important, right? You gotta have some kind of idea of what you're making. You can't just jump in and make 2 drawers, right? So, here's what I'm gonna say. You guys haven't seen this project yet, I don't think. It's a big one. This is the cabinet, and the 2 drawers are gonna go in here. This is a fake drawer. Not really fake. It's a real drawer. But I made it as a practice drawer to make sure I had the dimensions right and everything. There's no handle on it, so I had to pull it out from the bottom. Make sure I had all the dimensions right. Oh yeah, goes nice and slow right into place, and that's the way it should be. I got a couple shelves that I still have to put the holes for the shelving in there, and sand the shelves down and finish them and all that. Really nervous about the holes because they got to be in the exact right place, and they have to be even. That one, and the 2 on the back side of this. And that one, and the 2 over here. All have to be at the same level. And if I don't plan that out, I'm going to have a shelf on an angle like that. That's no fun. No one's going to respect that. You need it to be perfectly level, just like all the other stuff. So, let me have you just take a look at this thing. I keep it covered up because there's a lot of dust. I already got the back finished, the sides finished. It's a crowded place over here, but this is a gem sitting in my garage, and it needs to be finished. My goal is to have it done by mid-June, Hudson's baptism. But yeah, it's all quarter sawn white oak. I'll talk to you more about that some other time. But these corbels are pretty interesting. I'm going to show you that on the other side. These are not glued in place yet, but I'll show you how they're in place. This panel here sits within grooves, all pre-planned. You can't just jump into this and not have a game plan. These panels were once a single board. They were cut in half and then flipped, right, so that they're book matched, which is why you see this one. If you look real close, you might see a line down the center of it, and basically a mirror image. And then there's basically a stick. Let's call it a stick for now. Another panel, a wider stick. Another panel, same size stick as this one over here. And then the 4th panel, you can see they're all mirror images of each other, more or less. That's book matching, and they sit inside a groove. In each of these sticks, there's a groove on each side. You can't see it, but this 1/4-inch piece here is sitting inside that groove. Planning all along the way. You got to plan, or you're never gonna get this thing together. Look at this pretty board. This is a good example of book matching. These 2 pieces are glued together to make this one board, but they came sequentially from the tree, right? So when they were slicing the tree into boards, this one was, right next to this one, and because of that, they look almost identical. And so when you glue them together and then you plane it out, you have a really cool looking pattern. So here's the fun part. Those corbels. Remember those corbels back over here? How do those attach? I'm going to move this top back just a touch. And then you're going to see. And guess what? They're each labeled because this is planning. You got to plan every step of the way. And these guys attach like that. It's a sliding dovetail. Never mind that mess. It's a sliding dovetail. Can you guess which one this is going to go on? It's the back left. Good answer. So it's just going to slide in place there. I'm going to wind up gluing. You apply glue to this and getting that in place. I'm not ready for that yet. And then it will stay there once and for all. But I don't want to quite do that yet. I had this one off because I was doing a little repair work on the outside. But it looks pretty nice, I think. And because glue is only going to stick to a surface that does not have a oil finish on it, you can see when I put oil on this, I put a piece of tape over that joint so that when I'm ready to glue it, I'm able to. Same thing here. There it is, right? So planning, and you can see it's a little sloppy, right? It shouldn't rock around like that. Those should be really tight. So glue is really going to be very important here, and clamping this is going to be really important, because you don't want it to sit like that and then there be a gap shown. You want it to sit up nice and tight up against that leg, and once it gets covered by the top, ain't nobody going to see what it looked like before, which is why I could write that in marker, because no one's ever going to see that. And then this piece is going to go back up there. Up underneath this thing, there's a web frame. That's what this thing is called. Gives it some rigidity, and also there will be 3 little spindles here. I've already got them cut. I'm just nervous about location of them, because that has to be precise, and I don't want to rush into any of that. So the only part of the top web frame that you see is this edge right here, and then there's going to be 3 spindles. Not exactly this size, but very similar. Yeah, it's close. There'll be 3 of them, bump, 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 right, sitting right there. And it pushes that top web frame up against the top. And how is this going to all attach? The web frame will glue to that back, and it will glue to the sides, and I may wind up using some pocket screws. These are screws you can't see. So far this whole thing doesn't have any screws, but it's going to be really important that this piece be solidly anchored to the rest, because the top is going to be anchored to it. And just imagine when somebody goes to move this thing, where are they going to grab? They're going to grab the top. So that means that this web frame, which the top is going to be anchored to, has got to be solidly fixed to the rest of the piece. Plan, right? That's an idea of what's underneath. Wine bottles, by the way. Hang on, this one's for your mom. Always keep a wine bottle handy. Look at that. A little dusty, and it rolls a little bit, but I've got stoppers somewhere here that are going to be in place. These little blocks each already have holes at the bottom, and they're going to be matching holes inside deep so you don't see them, and those are just going to sit, these little blocks are going to sit to keep those bottles from rolling. That way you maybe don't need to have a full suite of bottles here to keep them from rolling around. But anyway, that gives you an idea. There's a bottom web frame down here too, more rigidity, and locations of all that stuff is important, because the drawer glides, or runners as they say, are right up against the bottom web frame, so that gives it more rigidity too. That was a lot in a video. I never intend to have these things go as long as they do, but I want to give you an idea of where those drawers are going to go. And that's just a poplar drawer right there. So that was just practice, as is this drawer over here. That's practice too, because I was going to make sure I had things down pat before I cut into my really expensive quarter sawn white oak. Poplar's pretty cheap. Okay, that's it. See ya.